She's standing in the middle of the grand ballroom, the air thick with murmurs and flashes of diamond light, her hand trembling as the engagement ring slips off her finger and falls to the marble floor. The sound is small, barely a clink, but it slices through the room like glass breaking. Every camera in the crowd catches it, every phone is already recording, and within seconds, the whispers explode into chaos. Did she just end it? Is it over? Is she really walking away from him? The billionaire everyone knows, the man who built his empire from a single viral idea, is standing frozen, his jaw locked tight. His name is Damon Rhodes, and tonight, his perfect world just cracked wide open. Lena doesn't look back. She can feel the heat of his stare burning through her spine, but she keeps walking. Her heels click with precision against the floor, the weight of her decision echoing louder than the applause that used to follow her. Outside, the night is cold and unapologetic, city lights bleeding gold against the black sky. A driver opens the door of a waiting car, but she doesn't get in. She needs air, space, and silence, something she hasn't had in months since this engagement turned from romance to spectacle. Every photo of them had been curated, every caption designed to look effortless, but tonight the illusion ends. Damon stays behind in the ballroom, surrounded by people who don't know what to say. The shareholders, the influencers, the guests, everyone with a camera and an agenda. He doesn't flinch. He gives a single nod to his assistant, and within seconds, the PR machine spins into motion. A mutual decision, respect and privacy. The same recycled lines the internet loves to consume and forget. But Damon doesn't forget. His life has always been about control until she shattered it in front of the world. And yet, deep down, there's something he's not telling anyone. This wasn't a surprise. He saw it coming. Maybe he even let it happen. Across town, in a cafe that smells like burnt espresso and rain, a woman named Aria scrolls through her phone, watching the headlines explode. Billionaire Damon Rhodes left at the altar. Sources say fiancé couldn't handle the pressure. Was the perfect couple just a perfect lie? Aria shakes her head. She's not into celebrity drama, but this one feels different. Maybe it's the way Damon looks in the photos, his eyes not angry, not sad, just empty. Or maybe it's because, years ago, before he became a billionaire, and before the world cared who he dated, Damon Rhodes was the guy who sat across from her in a college economics class. The guy who never looked her way because his focus was already locked on building something no one else could imagine. Fate, though, doesn't care about time or distance. When her phone buzzes that night with a job offer from a major tech firm she's been chasing for years, she doesn't realize yet who owns it. She doesn't know that she's about to walk back into Damon Rhodes' world, this time not as a student watching from afar, but as someone about to challenge him in ways even he can control. The next morning, Damon is already rebuilding. His life operates on speed and precision. His mansion overlooks the city, walls of glass framing a skyline that never sleeps. The engagement fallout has already become a trending topic, dissected by morning shows, analyzed by PR experts, meme-feed by the internet. But Damon's eyes are on a different screen: data, analytics, market trends, numbers that never lie. His company, Orbis, is on the verge of launching a revolutionary AI platform that could reshape global finance. That's what he cares about. Or so he tells himself. But in the quiet moments between board meetings and strategy calls, he can't shake the memory of Lena's voice breaking as she said, "I can't be what your image needs." The door to his office opens without a knock. Mason, his oldest friend and business partner, steps in. "You know you can't just bury this one under an algorithm," Mason says, dropping a folder on the table. "People don't forget public heartbreak that easy, not when it's you." Damon doesn't look up. "Then we give them something bigger to talk about." Mason smirks. "You mean Orbis?" "I mean a distraction," Damon replies. "A perfect one." By noon, Aria steps through the mirrored doors of Orbis headquarters, unaware that the man she once admired from a distance is somewhere above her, orchestrating the next move of his empire. She's sharp, confident, dressed in charcoal gray, and carrying nothing but a portfolio and a quiet determination. The HR director greets her with a smile. "Welcome to Orbis. You've been highly recommended." She doesn't ask by whom. The building feels alive: holographic walls, robotic assistants gliding through hallways, digital displays reacting to her movement. This is the future Damon built, and somehow, she's now a part of it. Their paths cross faster than either expects. Late evening, top floor, conference room still glowing with city lights. Damon walks in mid-conversation, his tone clipped and calculated. If we don't integrate sentiment modeling with real-time feedback, the rollout will fail. The room falls silent when Arya speaks up. It's not the feedback model that fail it's the emotional disconnect in your algorithm. You can't predict human behavior without empathy data. He turns, eyes narrowing slightly as if measuring her. The pause is long enough to draw the attention of everyone in the room. And you are? Arya Vale. She replies evenly. Data strategy, AI ethics division. There's a flicker of recognition brief, but there, Damon doesn't let it show. Interesting, he says finally. Let's see if you can prove that. That moment changes everything. Arya doesn't realize it yet, but Damon does. There's something about her voice, her conviction, her refusal to flinch under pressure. It's rare. It reminds him of something he's been missing, something real. Over the next few days, they clash constantly in meetings, pushing ideas, dissecting data, challenging each other in ways that leave everyone else quiet. To the team, it looks like professional tension. To Damon, it's the first time in months his mind has been somewhere other than the headlines. And to Arya, it's frustrating, because working for Damon Rhodes feels like walking a tightrope between admiration and defiance. But as the days turn into weeks, the tension begins to shift. There are moments that linger too long, a glance across the table, a shared silence after a presentation, the way his voice softens when he says her name. The walls around him start to crack, revealing pieces of the man behind the billionaire facade. Late one night, after a grueling review session, he walks her to the elevator. You challenge me, he says quietly. Not a compliment, not an accusation, just truth. She meets his gaze. Maybe that's what you need. The doors close between them, but the air stays electric. Outside, the world keeps spinning. The media moves on to new scandals, new billionaires, new engagements. But for Damon and Arya, something unseen is building an undercurrent neither of them can name yet. What started as a broken engagement is about to become something far more complicated. Because in a world ruled by power and image, love is the one variable no one can control. And this time, the algorithm won't save him. The elevator doors close, and the silence that follows feels heavier than it should. Damon doesn't move for several seconds, his reflection staring back at him in the mirrored surface. For years, he's been a master of control, every deal, every strategy, every narrative tightly woven to fit his design. But Arya Vale is different. She doesn't play by the usual rules, and somehow, that unpredictability is pulling him in deeper than he wants to admit. The next morning, he's back in his office before sunrise, scanning reports, trying to convince himself that what's happening is just professional respect. Except respect doesn't make your pulse skip when someone says her name. Downstairs, Arya is already there, coffee in hand, eyes glued to her screen. Her inbox is overflowing, deadlines stack up like dominoes, but her mind drifts to last night. The way he said, "You challenge me." It wasn't flirtation, it was something sharper, like recognition. She shakes the thought away and focuses on work. But as she's reviewing a system report, she notices something strange: lines of code in the Orbis AI framework that don't match the data ethics parameters she built. They're hidden, buried under corporate encryption, but her instincts flare immediately. Someone's feeding the AI emotional manipulation algorithms, something that could alter user behavior on a massive scale. And there's only one person who could authorize it: Damon Rhodes. When she confronts him later that day, the office feels like a pressure cooker. "You're integrating emotional response triggers into the Orbis model," she says, voice low but steady. "That's not user optimization, Damon, that's manipulation." He doesn't deny it. Instead, he looks at her with that calm, calculating expression that built his empire. "We're predicting behavior, Arya, anticipating needs before people realize they have them. It's not manipulation, it's efficiency. You're not anticipating needs." She fires back. "You're creating them." The silence that follows is tense, electric. "Do you have any idea what that means for the people using this tech?" she asks. "You're crossing a line." Damon's tone drops, controlled but edged. Every revolution crosses a line. It should end there, but it doesn't. Over the next week, their arguments turn into late-night discussions, the tension between ethics and innovation becoming the thread that ties them together. She pushes him to see the human cost behind his algorithms. He challenges her to understand the scale of what Orbis could achieve. Somewhere between data models and moral debates, they start to see each other differently, not as adversaries, but as two sides of the same storm. One night, after another marathon strategy session, they find themselves alone in the glass-walled conference room overlooking the city. The rain has started again, streaking the windows in silver. Arya's voice softens. "Why do you care so much about control, Damon?" He looks out at the skyline, the reflection of city lights flickering in his eyes. "Because everything I've ever built came from chaos," he says quietly. "You control the variables, you don't lose." "That's not true," she says. "You can't control people. You can't control love. You can't even control how this ends." He turns to face her, his expression unreadable. "Maybe not, but I can control what I do next." The air between them feels charged. There's a small second where everything in him wants to close the space between them, but he doesn't. Instead, he steps back, emotion hidden behind the same steel composure that made him untouchable. She watches him leave, her heart pounding because she knows this isn't just about work anymore. By the next morning, everything feels different. Damon announces a new internal audit of the Orbis AI system, citing data integrity verification. It's his silent way of acknowledging she was right. But before Arya can process that, the media storm reignites. Photos of Damon and Lena together surface old shots from when they were engaged, but repackaged with new captions hinting at reconciliation. The internet loves a comeback story, and soon #Rhodes returns trends across every platform. Arya doesn't want to care, but she does. She sees how the tabloids paint him, a man healing, reconnecting, rebuilding what was lost. None of it matches the man she's been working with these past weeks. Later that day, she sees him on the rooftop terrace, surrounded by reporters. Lena's name flashes in the questions. "Mr. Rhodes, is the engagement back on? Did you and Ms. Carson reconcile?" He gives a diplomatic smile, the one he's perfected. "Lena and I remain good friends," he says smoothly. But his eyes flick upward for half a second and find Arya watching from above. The camera lights flash, capturing that moment. And suddenly the narrative shifts again. Who is the woman behind Damon's comeback? The next morning, her phone explodes with messages. Her name's trending now. 2 speculations. Photos, blurred screenshots from company events. Colleagues whisper. Some call it office gossip. Others call it scandal. When she storms into his office, he's already waiting. "You knew this would happen," she says. "You could have stopped it." Damon leans back in his chair. "I didn't start it, but you didn't deny it either," she snaps. "You just let them believe whatever fed your image." He stands, closing the distance between them. "And what would you have preferred? That I announced to the world that you're different, that you're not part of this game?" "Maybe honesty would have been a start," she says, her voice breaking slightly. For the first time, Damon looks shaken. "You think I wanted this?" he says, quieter now. "The attention, the rumors, the headlines. This world doesn't care about honesty, Arya. It only listens to spectacle." She looks at him for a long time, then turns away. "Maybe that's why you'll always be alone." The door slams behind her before he can answer. Days pass, but the silence between them grows louder than any argument. Damon buries himself in work, but the distraction doesn't hold. He watches Arya from afar, the way she avoids eye contact in meetings, the distance she keeps now. He's built billion-dollar systems that predict human behavior, yet he can't decode his own emotions when it comes to her. Meanwhile, Arya's not just angry, she's conflicted. She sees the man behind the billionaire facade, the quiet moments when he lets the mask slip, and it terrifies her how much she understands him. Late one night, when she's the last one left in the office, her screen flickers with a secure message. It's from Damon. "Meet me at 11, penthouse level." No one else. She hesitates, fingers hovering over the keyboard, then closes her laptop and goes. The penthouse is dimly lit, city lights bleeding through the glass walls. Damon stands near the window, no suit, no boardroom armor, just a man stripped of his usual control. "You shouldn't be here," she says quietly. "You came anyway," he replies. There's a long silence. Then, he takes a breath. "I built Orbis to understand people, to predict emotions, to eliminate uncertainty. But you're the one thing I can't predict." The words hang heavy in the air. She feels her pulse quicken. "You don't have to predict me," she says. "You just have to trust me." For the first time in a long time, Damon lets the walls drop completely. His voice is low, unguarded. I don't know how. Arya steps closer. Then maybe that's where you start. Outside, the city hums like electricity, lights flickering against the glass. Inside, something fragile but undeniable begins to form: trust, attraction, maybe something dangerously close to love. But neither of them know that someone else is watching. Lena Carson, the woman who walked away in front of the world, hasn't disappeared. She's been waiting, quietly, strategically, and the moment she sees Arya Vale in Damon's world, she decides she's not done with him yet. Not by a long shot. The next morning begins with chaos. Not in the boardrooms, not in the markets, but online. A leaked photo hits every major gossip feed at once. Damon Rhodes and Arya Vale, standing too close in his penthouse, city lights glowing behind them like a confession. The caption beneath it reads, "Billionaire's new love revealed." Billionaire's new love revealed. Employee or obsession. Within hours, it's everywhere. Corporate channels, media outlets, trending tags. Orbis stock spikes briefly before dipping under scrutiny. Inside the company, whispers spread faster than code. Arya walks into the office, and every eye turns her way. She can feel the judgment crawling over her skin. The quiet, smug looks of people who think they know her story now. Her inbox is full of anonymous messages, some cruel, others pretending to be concerned. When she reaches her desk, her badge no longer works. Her access is suspended. She's stunned. Before she can react, a security officer approaches. "Mr. Rhodes would like to see you." The walk to his office feels endless. When she enters, Damon is standing by the glass wall again, his silhouette cold against the skyline. "You knew this was coming," he says without turning. "No," she snaps. "You did. You let it happen." His jaw tightens. "You think I leaked that photo? I think you live in a world where nothing leaks unless you allow it." Damon turns now, eyes dark. "You're not just an employee anymore, Arya. Anything that happens around you becomes a story. That's the cost of being near me." She laughs bitterly. "You talk like it's a privilege. It's a warning," he replies. "The board's already calling. HR's panicking. They want a statement, and they want it now." "Then tell them the truth," she says, voice shaking with restrained anger. "Tell them that we're not what they think." He studies her face for a long moment. "Are we not?" he asks quietly. She freezes. The silence stretches. Then she turns and walks out before he can say anything more. By evening, the statement is out. Orbis Technologies confirms that employee Arya Vale is under review following a potential conflict of interest investigation. Mr. Rhodes has recused himself from personnel decisions pending review. The phrasing is cold, corporate, perfectly worded, and devastating. Arya reads it alone in her apartment, her phone vibrating with notifications she doesn't want to see. She doesn't answer Damon's messages. She doesn't go to work the next day, or the one after that. Meanwhile, Damon is fighting battles from all sides. Investors are nervous. The press is relentless. Lena Carson reappears, poised, elegant, perfectly timed. She gives an exclusive interview, her voice soft and polished. "Damon and I went through a lot together," she says on national TV, her eyes glistening just enough to look real. "I only hope he finds happiness, even if it's with someone who truly understands him." The public eats it up. Sympathy floods toward Lena. Arya becomes the villain, the ambitious employee who got too close. When Mason storms into Damon's office with a tablet full of analytics, his frustration is explosive. "She's trending under hashtag Arya the Ambition." He says, "Half the internet thinks she seduced you for power." Damon slams his fist on the table. "Find out who leaked that photo." "Already did," Mason says, his tone grim. "It came from Lena's PR team." Damon's expression hardens. Then she just made her last move. That night, Damon calls Lena to his private club, a place the press can't reach. She arrives dressed like a headline, all silk and confidence. "You look tired," she says sweetly, taking a seat across from him. "Maybe you should stop trying to save people who don't belong in your world." Damon's voice is ice. "You leaked that photo." She doesn't deny it. "You embarrassed me in front of the world." "Damon, I had to remind them who you really are. The man who belongs to power, not pity." He leans forward. "You mistook control for connection, Lena. That's why it ended." Her smile doesn't falter. "And you mistook rebellion for love. That's why this new one will end too." When he leaves, his mind is made up. He won't let Arya take the fall for something she didn't do. He calls Mason. Prepare the press. We're changing the narrative. The next morning, Orbis headquarters is on lockdown. Reporters crowd outside as Damon walks into the press conference room. Cameras flash. The tension is suffocating. He stands behind the podium and looks straight into the lenses. There's been a lot of speculation, he begins, voice steady. But here's the truth. No line was crossed. No rule was broken. Miss Vale is one of the most brilliant minds I've ever worked with, and if defending her costs me everything, then so be it. The room erupts. Reporters shout questions. Flashes go wild. But the message is clear. For the first time in his career, Damon Rhodes isn't protecting an image. He's protecting someone. Across the city, Arya watches it live. Her throat tightens as she hears him say her name. The sincerity in his tone cuts through every headline, every rumor, but she knows the cost of what he's just done. The board will come for him. Investors will question his judgment. And yet, he still chose her. Hours later, her phone buzzes again. It's Mason. He's in trouble, he says. The board's calling an emergency meeting. They want him out as CEO. Arya doesn't hesitate. She grabs her coat and runs out the door. When she bursts into the conference room, Damon is surrounded by executives, the air thick with tension. Mr. Rhodes, one of them says coldly, your personal actions have compromised this company's integrity. Effective immediately, we are voting to suspend you as acting CEO pending investigation. Damon doesn't argue. He signs the paperwork silently. Arya steps forward, but he stops her with a glance almost reassuring. It's okay, he says softly. They can take the title. They can't take what we built. After the meeting, she follows him to the elevator. You didn't have to do that, she says. You could have kept your position. Positions are replaceable, he replies. People aren't. The words hit harder than she expects. What are you going to do now? She asks quietly. He looks out at the skyline. Start over. This time, without pretending to be someone I'm not. Days pass. The media frenzy fades. Damon's name still trends, but now the tone has changed. Some call him reckless. Others call him human. Arya goes back to work quietly, now reporting to Mason, who stepped in as interim CEO. She doesn't see Damon until one night. She finds him at the same cafe where everything first began. No suit, no entourage, just a man with a notebook and a cup of coffee. He looks up when she walks in. You found me, he says. You weren't hiding, she answers. They sit in silence for a moment, the noise of the cafe filling the spaces words can't. Then he says, I've been working on something new, smaller, smarter, real. What is it? She asks. A company that measures empathy, he says, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Not clicks, not conversions, just connection. She studies him, the way his eyes look lighter now, freer. You're really doing it, she says. Starting over. He nods. And I want you to be part of it. Not as an employee this time, as a partner. It's not a grand gesture. It's not even romantic. Not yet. It's real. And that's what makes it powerful. Arya doesn't answer right away. She just looks at him. The man who went from untouchable billionaire to something far more rare authentic. Then she smiles. Just slightly. Okay, she says. Let's build something honest. But outside, in the reflection of the cafe window, a shadow lingers. A familiar face watching from across the street. Lena. Her phone is in her hand, her eyes cold and calculating. The story isn't over, not yet. Because if Damon Rhodes thinks he can rebuild his empire without her, he's about to learn that the most dangerous thing about love isn't losing it. It's what happens when someone refuses to let it go. The air in the cafe still hums with the quiet promise of something new, something fragile. Damon and Arya sit across from each other, unaware that the moment is being watched, recorded, and analyzed through the lens of someone who knows how to weaponize a story. Lena Carson doesn't blink as she captures the photo to people, smiling like the world hasn't already tried to destroy them. She sends the image to her contact list with one message. He moved on. Let's make sure the world sees what he's really building. Within hours, tech blogs start to whisper. Rumors spread that Damon Rhodes, now ousted from Orbis, is secretly developing a rival AI company, one focused on emotional data collection, so invasive it could make Orbis obsolete. Screenshots of his name on investor documents leak. Headlines follow. Disgraced billionaire returns with questionable startup. None of it's true yet, but the narrative has been set in motion. Arya doesn't find out until the next morning. when her phone won't stop buzzing. Every outlet is reporting it, each one twisting the story differently. She storms into Damon's apartment, smaller, stripped of the wealth he used to drown in, but still somehow elegant. "You said we'd stay under the radar," she says, holding up her phone. "You said no more headlines." Damon takes the device, reads the headline once, then sets it down calmly. "It's Lena," he says simply. "She's not letting go." "Then we stop her," Arya insists, but Damon shakes his head. "You can't stop someone who thrives on chaos. You redirect it." His tone is steady. Strategic's the same one that used to command boardrooms. "Let her spread the rumors," he continues. "We'll make them work for us." Arya frowns. "You're turning her smear campaign into marketing." Damon's lips curve into a faint, dangerous smile. "Not marketing momentum. If the world thinks I'm building something revolutionary, then maybe it's time I actually do." That's when the real work begins. They set up in a co-working space downtown, surrounded by freelancers, startup founders, and late-night dreamers chasing impossible ideas. Damon sketches algorithms on whiteboards, while Arya drafts ethical parameters to ensure transparency. The project's name is Pulse. Unlike Orbis, it doesn't manipulate emotions, it understands them. It doesn't predict behavior, it helps people connect more deeply, using empathy-based AI to improve communication, mental wellness, and social understanding. It's bold, risky, and ahead of its time. Weeks turn into months. They live in that rhythm, long nights, endless coffee, code, and conversations blurring into something intimate. Their chemistry deepens, no longer hidden under professional restraint. But every step forward comes with a shadow. Investors are hesitant. Old colleagues whisper that Damon's lost his edge. The world sees him as a fallen giant, trying to prove he's still relevant. One evening, as they finalize the beta launch for Pulse, Arya notices something off in the system logs. An external access point. Someone's trying to breach their servers. She runs diagnostics and finds the trace. "It's coming from Orbis," she says, stunned. Damon looks up sharply. "She's trying to steal it." Lena's fingerprints are all over the code, subtle, sophisticated, but unmistakable. She's using Orbis's infrastructure to monitor their work. "This isn't just revenge anymore," Arya says. "She's trying to destroy everything before it launches." Damon doesn't hesitate. "Then we go public." They decide to reveal Pulse to the world, not as a secret startup, but as a movement. A live stream event is planned. Small but high impact. Arya handles the technical showcase. Damon handles the narrative. The night before the launch, she finds him alone on the rooftop, looking out at the city that once bowed to him, and now barely acknowledges his existence. "You don't have to prove anything," she says softly. "You already walked away from the world's approval once." He turns, eyes serious. "This isn't about me anymore. It's about doing something right for once." She steps closer, the distance between them finally breaking. "Then let's do it together." The next day, millions tune in. The Pulse launch isn't flashy just to people on a stage, speaking with honesty. Damon starts, his voice calm but filled with conviction. "Technology has always been about control data, power, influence. We built Pulse to do something different, to give people back what tech took away, humanity." Arya takes over, demonstrating the system's ability to detect emotional tone in communication and suggest empathetic responses. The audience is captivated. The internet, for once, doesn't react with mockery, it reacts with hope. But the victory is short-lived. Minutes after the presentation ends, a flood of false documents appears online, fabricated evidence, claiming Pulse is harvesting private data through emotional analytics. The leak is traced back to an anonymous server linked to Orbis. The headlines flip instantly. Pulse exposed, emotional manipulation 2.0. Investors pull out. Platforms ban their prototype. In one night, everything they built collapses. Damon's phone rings. It's Mason. "She's gone too far this time," he says grimly. "I can prove Lena did this. I have her IP logs, her encrypted communications with the PR firm. Then send them to the press." Damon replies, "End this." Mason hesitates. "There's a problem. If this goes public, Orbis tanks. Thousands of employees lose their jobs." Damon closes his eyes. The weight of his old empire still hangs heavy on him. "So, if I save myself," he says slowly, "they pay the price." Arya watches him struggle with the decision, sees the old Damon, the one who would have chosen strategy over conscience. But this time, something's changed. He walks over to her, voice quiet. What would you do? She meets his gaze. You already know the answer. You can't build a company about empathy and destroy people to prove it. That night, Damon calls Lena himself. She answers on video, smiling as if she's already won. You always underestimate me, she says. You think people care about your redemption. They only care about headlines. Damon's expression is unreadable. You're right, he says. But the difference is, this time, I controlled the story. He uploads the full unedited code and data logs of Pulse every line, every algorithm to the public domain, free and open source. The internet explodes. Tech forums light up with praise for the transparency. Developers around the world start improving the system collectively. Lena's plan backfires instantly. Instead of being destroyed, Pulse becomes a movement, crowdsourced empathy. A living system built by the people, not owned by anyone. Orbis's stock plummets as the world shifts focus. Reporters dig deeper and eventually expose Lena's leaks anyway. Her reputation collapses in real time. A week later, Damon stands on a quiet beach, the first real moment of peace he's had in years. Arya joins him, barefoot, wind tangling her hair. You did it, she says softly. We did it, he corrects. Pulse isn't mine anymore. It belongs to everyone. She smiles. That's what makes it perfect. He looks at her, something unspoken in his eyes. You know, when Lena left me, I thought love was just another variable to manage. Something you could control if you were smart enough. He pauses, the sound of waves filling the silence. But then you showed me that love isn't data. It's risk. It's chaos. And sometimes, it's the only thing worth losing everything for. She steps closer, their hands finding each other naturally. So what now? She asks. He smiles, a real one, unguarded. Now, we live, without headlines, without algorithms, just us. The ocean stretches endlessly before them, and for once, there's no audience, no cameras, no games, just truth. But as they turn to leave, a notification flashes on Arya's phone, message from an unknown number. You thought you ended the story. But some stories don't end, they evolve. Attached is a file named Pulse 2.0. Arya looks up at Damon, unease flickering in her eyes. Do you think it's her? She whispers. He takes the phone, staring at the screen. The message decrypts into a single image. Lena, standing in front of a new company, Logo Roads Systems. And beneath it, a tagline. The future feels you. The world isn't done with them yet. The message sits between them like a live wire. Damon's jaw clenches as the glow of the phone screen fades into the night air. She's not finished, Arya says quietly, her voice tight with disbelief. She's building her own system with your name on it. Damon looks out toward the dark waves, his reflection fractured in the shifting water. No, he says finally, voice low and steady. She's building a war. Over the next few days, Road Systems dominates the headlines. The name itself is a calculated strike. Lena, using Damon's last name as if to reclaim the brand he abandoned. Her product, Pulse 2.0, claims to be the next step in emotional AI evolution, a technology that can simulate human empathy and influence decision-making at a subconscious level. The tech world goes into frenzy. Investors pour in. Media outlets crown her the queen of synthetic emotion. To the public, it looks like Damon's legacy reborn. To Damon and Arya, it's something far darker, mirror of their own creation, twisted into manipulation. In a small office overlooking the city, they watch Lena's livestream announcement. She's standing in front of a pristine white backdrop. Her smile, the same one she wore when she ended their engagement years ago. Humanity doesn't just need empathy, she says into the cameras. It needs direction. Pulse 2.0 isn't about feeling. It's about guiding those feelings toward better choices. Arya stares at the screen, horrified. She's selling control as compassion. Damon's eyes don't leave the monitor. She's using my work to do it. The next hours are chaos. Pulse's open source forums flood with warnings. Developers discover that Lena's version of the AI isn't transparent. It's designed to learn emotional vulnerabilities and subtly push users toward specific products, ideas, even beliefs. It's persuasion disguised as understanding. She's weaponizing empathy, Arya whispers, scrolling through the data. If this launches, she'll have access to millions of users' emotional patterns. Damon's expression hardens. Then we stop her before it goes live. But stopping Lena Carson isn't as simple as cutting power to a server. She's already ahead, protected by contracts, NDAs, and investors too hungry to care. When Damon contacts Orbis board members, they shut him out. "She's your ex-fiancée," one of them says coolly. "You've already cost this company enough." Mason, now the acting CEO, calls later that night. "I've seen what she's building," he says. "It's not just tech, it's behavioral infrastructure. She's linking Pulse 2.0 into social platforms, finance, education systems. Once it launches, it'll be everywhere." Damon exhales slowly. "Then we expose her." He and Arya dive into the code archives, tracing every copied algorithm Lena might have stolen. Each line of code feels like a ghost from their past, snippets of their late nights, their experiments, their shared dreams. The deeper they dig, the more they realize how much she's replicated. But something else surfaces, evidence that shocks them both. Hidden within Pulse 2.0's framework is an encrypted signature, a pattern only Damon could have written. "She didn't just steal your code," Arya says, stunned. "She stole your identity." Damon sits back, realization settling in. "She's framing me," he says quietly. "She's going to make it look like I created Pulse 2.0 behind the scenes. It's the perfect trap. If they go public with the truth, the world will believe Damon's just protecting himself. If they stay silent, Lena controls the narrative completely." As the launch day for Pulse 2.0 approaches, tension builds across the industry. Governments express concern. Activists call it dangerous, but none of it stops the countdown. Lena knows controversy sells. She wants the world watching when she wins. 3 days before launch, Damon and Arya make their move. They sneak into the Orbis data center under the cover of night. Using old credentials, Mason slipped to them quietly. The building is eerily silent, rows of servers glowing like sleeping beasts. "If we can extract the original code logs," Arya says, "we can prove she stole your design." Damon nods, typing commands into the main console. For a moment, everything seems to work. Then the screens flash red. Unauthorized access detected. The alarm blares. Security lights flood the room. Damon curses under his breath. "She knew we'd try this." Arya grabs his hand. "We have to go." But before they can reach the exit, a voice echoes from the speaker system, Lena's voice, calm and haunting. "Always 2 steps behind. Damon," she says. "You really think I'd leave the keys to my empire lying around? You taught me better than that." Outside, sirens wail as they escape into the night. The next morning, the story breaks. Disgraced billionaire caught hacking Orbis servers. The photo splashed across every news outlet shows Damon and Arya leaving the building, their faces half covered, grainy but unmistakable. Lena doesn't even need to comment. The headlines do it for her. For the first time, Damon's silence feels like defeat. "They'll never believe us now," he says, voice hollow. Arya places a hand on his shoulder. "Then don't make them believe, make them see." That becomes their plan. Instead of fighting from the shadows, they go public, but not with defenses or denials. They host a live broadcast from an abandoned warehouse, their faces raw, unfiltered, streaming directly to the open-source Pulse network. "You've been told a story," Damon begins, voice steady, "that I built something to control you. But the truth is, the person who's doing that is using my name to destroy everything we once believed technology could be." Arya joins in, her tone fierce. "We made Pulse to connect people, not manipulate them. If you've ever trusted our work, trust us now. Look at the code for yourself." Within minutes, developers from across the world begin verifying the logs. Damon uploads live. Line by line, they uncover the truth. Pulse's original architecture is clean. Pulse 2.0 feet-seconds version, the one Lena built, is full of manipulative data pathways. Screenshots flood social media. Hashtags flip in real time. Hashtag expose road systems trends globally. The world is watching, and this time, they're not on Lena's side. When Lena's livestream begins hours later, she's confident until her feed is hijacked mid-broadcast. On the split screen, Damon and Arya's faces appear. "You stole my name," Damon says, eyes locked on the camera. "But you can't steal my integrity." Lena's mask slips for the first time, her voice sharp with fury. "You think the truth matters. People don't care who's right, they care who wins." Damon leans closer. "Then I guess it's a good thing I stopped playing your game." And with that, he releases the final key. an automatic transparency protocol that forces Pulse 2.0's systems to open source in real time. The code is exposed to millions. Everything she's hidden becomes public knowledge. Investors flee. The launch collapses in minutes. Lena stands frozen, her empire dissolving live on screen. When the broadcast ends, the world goes quiet. Hours later, reports flood in. Lena has fled the country amid investigation. Orbis issues a statement, distancing itself from Rhodes Systems entirely. Damon and Arya are cleared of all accusations. The war is over, but the aftermath lingers. Days later, they return to the small office where Pulse was born. It's quiet now, the hum of computers replaced by the soft hum of city life beyond the windows. Arya looks at him, eyes tired but warm. "You could rebuild again," she says. "Start another company." Damon shakes his head. "No, for once, I don't want to build anything. I just want to live in what we've already built." They take a walk through the city that once treated them like headlines and now treats them like ghosts. No one stares, no cameras follow. It's almost peaceful. At a crosswalk, Damon stops, looking at her with something like awe. "You know, when you walked into Orbis that first day," he says, "I thought you were trouble." Arya smiles faintly. "I was, but maybe that's exactly what you needed." As they reach the waterfront, the sun starts to rise. The skyline glows gold against the glass towers. Damon's voice is soft. "The world doesn't need perfect systems. It just needs honest people." Arya looks at him, her hand finding his veil. "Then maybe we finally gave it that." They stand in silence as the morning unfolds to people who have lost everything the world measures as success, yet somehow found everything that actually matters. Control is never destroyed, it just changes hands. He looks at Arya. She looks back, realizing what it means. The camera zooms out as the city hums beneath them, reminder that every ending is just another beginning.